Hey, welcome back to the Secret Podcast, episode number 3. Shh, don't tell. Today, we are going to talk about the 6 most common mistakes that salon and spa owners make when building out a team. And again, if you haven't done the Mind Your Business Mindset trainings that we're offering as an exclusive offer for you, Secret Podcast listeners, head on over to lashpreneur.com/mindset. I just got feedback from one of our clients inside of our Society Accelerator program that she listened to the meditation, the guided meditation we have on there, and a fear of failure with her team. And they loved it. They said that it was a great way for them to be refreshed for taking on clients, to overcome some limiting beliefs that they had in their personal life. And they asked if they could continue to do meditations once a month in their team meetings. So 10 out of 10, she recommended these. So you guys go check it out. You can get $1 for $11.11 right now at the lashpreneur.com/mindset. So let's get into the 6 most common mistakes salon and spa owners make, and that I help them work through inside of our programs because they're so common and I don't know why they keep happening, but that's why you're here, right? You're here to learn. All right. So first and foremost is, we call this flying blind. I also call it ostriching your business, not knowing your numbers, right? And just pulling a price and a pay structure out of a hat and just hoping for the best. While hope is one business strategy, is not that great. I'm just going to be honest with you. It doesn't help you actually get to the end result that you're looking for, which for most of you is more time and financial freedom. Well, if you want more time freedom and more financial freedom, then you actually have a strategy to get you there. And so just randomly pulling money numbers out of a hat and expecting that that is going to make you more money, that's where you're flying blind. So I know that the common belief that most of y'all probably have, if you're anything like our students in our program when they first start, is the belief that I'm just not good with numbers. Oh, I suck at math. I hear that all the time. And I want to plant this little seed for you and ask you this. Is it that you suck at math or you're just not good with numbers? Or is it that you actually haven't learned how to do it? Is it that you haven't learned what numbers to look at, how to track them, like somebody showing you step by step, here's the numbers you look at and here's what they mean? Is it that you suck at it or you're dumb, or is it that you just haven't learned it? Big difference in how you feel about it every time that you look at numbers. If you look at a bank account and you go, oh my gosh, or you just don't even look at your bank account because you've had that experience far too many times and you know better now than to go look at it because it's going to tank your day. Well, how much longer do you think you can do that? How much longer do you think your business is going to stay open if that's how you're treating the financials? Yet you want more time and more money. Math ain't mathin' on that one, sweetheart. Because you have to understand the financials of the business if you want those financials to grow. You can't grow what you don't know. Oh, that's a catchy one. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. You can't grow what you don't know. And so anytime we're adding on expenses, especially when it comes to labor, it would be a little irresponsible for you to hire someone whose livelihood is dependent on you being able to pay them if you don't actually know if you can pay them. Yeah. You go. Now, there's absolutely ways to learn this, to know exactly how much you can pay someone, exactly how to provide for them consistently, and not have it be this scary thing of like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make payroll, right? Yes, that is some people's fears. Like, I'm so worried about taking on the responsibility of somebody else's pay. It's not as much as you would think. It's not. In fact, you can do the math real quick right now. If you look at, just pick an hourly rate, and we teach to hourly versus commission, and I can explain why, especially if we jump on a strategy call to talk about any of our programs, happy to share with you that math. But we teach to a specific hourly rate. The reason we don't teach to commission is because when we're talking about your pay coming from profitability, when we have a commission pay structure, which I know, I get it, it's super common, but I can tell you right now, it's not super profitable. Why? Because your commission pay is a percentage of sales. So as that team member produces more sales, your labor costs are going up as your sales are going up. So I know visually you can't see me right now, but like I've got one hand on top of the other. So as the top hand moves up for sales, your labor costs by way of commission are also going up. right? So they're going in tandem. They're going at the same time. You are not necessarily getting more profitability percentage-wise when you increase sales from a team member. I like to be able to control profit and be able to have a lot more flexibility with where my profit comes from. So when you have a flat hourly rate, right? So your costs are going to be the same whether that team member is sitting on her butt doing nothing or she's generating tens of thousands of dollars in sale or $10,000 in sales. Then as your sales go up, as my top hand goes up, the bottom hand that is labor cost stays fixed. It does not move. It is the same whether she is with a client or not because you're paying an hourly rate. So you actually are increasing profitability because your labor costs are not increasing with sales costs or sales generation. Now, the next question that comes up is, well, how can I afford, what if she's not taking clients? Think about it, and I'm going to overly simplify this math. Happy to go more in depth and explain this to you on a strategy call, one-on-one with me. If you, let's just say, again, we'll go back to the $75 an hour in sales that we kind of talked about in that mindset, or the CEO to employee mindset shift. So let's say $75 an hour is what she would generate in 1 hour if she took a fill client. And let's say that you want to pay her, I'm just going to pull a number out of a hat, $15 an hour for 20 hours a week. Okay. So your payroll cost for her is going to be somewhere around $300. So 15 hours a week times 20 hours a week. So $15 an hour times 20 hours a week. Okay. I'm just going to throw this number. You don't need to know this quite yet, but there's 8% that you're going to owe in payroll taxes. That covers things like Medicare, Social Security, that kind of stuff if you're based in the US. So really what your cost is for that team member to be there for 20 hours a week at $15 an hour is $324. Okay. So when we look at her producing $75 an hour in sales, how many clients in a week does she need to take for you to make sure that your payroll costs are covered? Well, the answer is about 4.32. I don't know about you. I've never seen 0.32 of a human. So we're just going to round up. 5 clients at the $75 an hour rate is all she would need to take for her to cover her payroll costs. So when you think about it, if she's there 20 hours a week and all she needs is 5 of those hours with the client, does that seem that overwhelming? Probably not. So again, when you know your financials, when you know your numbers, you can do that math and find a solution to what you're perceiving as a problem. Like, oh my God, I don't know if I can afford a team member. Well, let's go find the data or the financials to see how much you would need to be able to take in clients for her to be able to cover herself and her own payroll. So the second most common mistake that salon and spa owners make when hiring a team member is they hire for skill over core values. What does that mean? Oftentimes people will look for the most skilled person in whatever it is they're hiring for, the person with the most experience, who's been doing it the longest, who they don't have to train is really what they're looking for. So, what we end up getting there is somebody who's pretty hip and savvy with what the options are in the industry. And either you're going to pay them the most that they can make, or they'll go out on their own. Right? Because they have a lot of skill. They know that people can quote unquote make a lot of money, or at least that's the juicy carrot of all these salon suites and whatnot. But when you're hiring for skill, first of all, you limit your candidate pool, right? So if you require 2 years of experience, all of a sudden anybody that's in 0 to 2 years of being able to do the skill isn't going to apply. So now you have a much smaller pool of people to select from. So if your main complaint is, I don't know how to find good candidates, chances are you've got an experience level minimum that a lot of people that are looking for jobs as employees don't meet, right? Because it is still very common in our industry for there to be really toxic hiring practices, as well as leadership and management not being that great and really abusive situations with employees. And so anybody who has 2 years or more experience has likely already experienced kind of a toxic culture. And so the only thing stopping them from going out on their own is that maybe it'd be easier to make more money off of somebody else. And so because they have the experience of toxic work environments, they better be making a lot of money because they don't want to, they got to be paid to make it worth it. So we want to make sure that we're actually hiring for core values, who the person is more so than their skill set, which kind of leads us into the mistake number 3, which is the warm body hiring strategy. If you are just hiring because you're so busy and you need somebody in there now, so they've got to have the most experience because you can't train them because you're so busy and like you're looking for a warm body in there. And that creates a people-dependent business. What does that mean? That means that your business growth is solely dependent on the current players in it. So if you're a solo business owner, you're already a people-dependent business because you are the only person in the business who can produce the results and the experience that the business is known for. Where we run into a problem with that is that when you start to build out a team, if you're hiring somebody with experience, whether you train them or not, they're going to have their own way of doing it. If you don't train them at all, they definitely have their own way of doing it, which means that they have a very specific result and maybe even experience that is unique to them. So we will call this team member Jessica. So we hired Jessica. Jessica does beautiful work. She's amazing. Oh my God, clients love her. We have now built Jessica a fully booked clientele at a very beautiful price point. And Jessica is producing about $8,000 in sales a month with her amazing work. Yay, Jessica. Okay. So she's so busy. We still have more demand. We're actually now going to hire Tiffany. Okay. So we hired Tiffany. And Tiffany doesn't have as much experience as Jessica, but like we need somebody now, and Tiffany had the availability we liked. So we get Tiffany in. We're really working a little bit more with Tiffany to kind of get her skill set up. But oh my gosh, Jessica just found out she's pregnant. And she is like freaking out about it. And she's also really sick. So she actually is going to take some time off. So she's going to actually take 2 months off because she's just not feeling good and she really needs to focus on some family stuff. Well, now all of a sudden, the $8,000 in sales that Jessica was producing in the business is now in jeopardy because we have nowhere to put Jessica's $8,000 of clients that can produce the same results and experience as Jessica can, because we don't actually know how Jessica does it, because Jessica does it Jessica's way. Right? This can also happen if a team member moves, if they go open up their own business down the street, if they decide they want to go work elsewhere, if they get married, have a baby, life transition, they go back to school. All of the things that are common in our industry, because we tend to have a lot of transient nature to our industry. Anytime we turn over an employee, now all of the sales that team member has built becomes at risk. So how do we solve for that? Well, we create a process-dependent business, meaning that the step-by-steps that the business teaches its team members and trains its team members on is what produces a consistent result and experience that the clients will know the business for and that we can market, right? So now, whether we have Jessica or Tiffany or you, we now have a process that can be followed to deliver on the result. This is where you start to get some freedom in the business because it is a step-by-step process that delivers the result, not any one individual in it. So if Jessica left the business, but she was following your business's processes, well, now all of a sudden that $8,000 in sales, well, maybe some might leave because they don't resonate with Tiffany, but Tiffany is trained how to get the same result in the experience that Jessica was. So we're much more likely to retain the majority of those sales and those clients with moving them over to Tiffany or moving them from your books to somebody else's books. If you have clients who are resistant to going to anybody else, that's why you need to train a team member to do it the way that you do it. Number 4 on the 6 most common mistakes salon and spa owners make is making feelings-based decisions. If you ever want to be called a narcissist inaccurately or whatever, make feelings-based decisions. Your feelings, if you're a woman, lie to you all the time. Your feelings may change depending on your hormones. So having your feelings be the barometer of what to do next in your business is not sustainable. It's also miserable to work for someone who is such an emotional roller coaster. Your greatest gift to anyone in your team and in your life is your own emotional regulation. And this is where mindset really comes into play. Right? You're welcome to have the gamut of all human emotions. I highly, highly recommend that you enjoy and embrace all emotions that come with being a human. But when it comes to running your business, it needs to be the data, because your feelings are going to lie to you. Your feelings are going to tell you something's wrong. A lot of you are addicted to the feeling of stress. that cortisol hormone that's getting dumped into your system because you haven't learned to regulate yourself, or you've been in that state for so long that anytime you start to get structure and consistency in your business, it's going to feel less stressful. And if you're conditioned and addicted to the stress hormone, you're going to start creating problems in your business because you are going to think, oh my God, something's wrong when we're calm. Or, oh my gosh, I think, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Classic anxious person, right? I speak to it because I know it very, very well. I've been that. So having data-based decision-making is really what's going to help you make smart, strategic decisions to grow your business and grow your profits. If you make feelings-based decisions, you are going to destroy your business on a regular basis. And you're probably going to have a lot of your self-worth tied to being a really good problem solver. And when your worth is tied to you solving problems and you run out of problems to solve, you're going to go create more problems. Number 5, for the most common mistakes salon and spa owners make, is being stuck in the treatment room. That is because they think that them generating sales in the business is the value they provide. Last episode, we gave you examples of other things that you can and should be doing as the business owner, aside from generating sales, right? If you are stuck in the treatment room and you have a team member sitting out there who is not generating any sales, that is bass-ackwards. Okay? They should be producing the sales. You should be teaching them how to produce the sales so that more sales can be produced without you trading your time for money. And last but not least, the number 6 most common mistake salon and spa owners make when building out a team is prioritizing sales over profitability. If you ever want to stop trading your time for money, I'm going to drop a little knowledge bomb for you here, right here. If you want to stop trading your time for money, you need to stop trading your time for money. I know, money well spent on, spending time here listening to this. Mind blown. But it's true. If you want to stop trading your time for money, you've got to stop trading your time for money, which means that if you want to make money, it doesn't come from the time that you can put into the business, which means that we have to be focusing on profitability and increasing your profitability so that you can pay yourself a livable wage without you being in the treatment room or without you producing the sales. And I get it. That may be a big old question mark for you of like, how do I do that? Happy to help you with that. That's what we teach inside of our Society Accelerator program, to be able to show you, hey, you want to be making this much money? Here's what the numbers look like in your business. Here's the sales amount you need to be at. Here's the operating expense you need to be at. Here's what you can afford to pay your team, also that you can pay yourself a wage from the business without having to be in the treatment room. So if you can prioritize profitability, you can make decisions like letting team members go who are costing you too much. While yes, your sales may drop, it will probably and likely does increase your profitability. So that's where the data-based decision-making, knowing your numbers, being able to have a profitable pay structure to begin with, all of that plays a part in you being able to draw a salary and draw pay from your business without you trading your time for money. All right, that's it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to dive into financials, about knowing what to pay your team that's competitive and profitable. So I'll see you in the next episode. And if you want to jump on a call with me, free call to talk about your team building obstacles and goals, happy to jump on a call with you. Head on over to lashpreneur.com/apply, fill out the application, and we'll chitter chat maybe this week or next week on what your team building goals are. All right, see you in the next episode.